So, here's a question for you. Who has two thumbs and forgot to switch to the proper microphone before recording the first time? Spoiler, it was me. Anyway, welcome back to Audio Observations, the home of the unconventional and the unprofessional. I am Perry Martin, I will be your host today, and we have plenty of things to talk about. First of all, as you can see, I've made a couple of changes to the image. There were a couple of glaring issues with the image that frankly I didn't see until I was halfway through editing the previous video, so I've made a couple of changes. I've added the outline for the scarf, and I sort of redrew part of the spines as well. It's a little change, but frankly, it's quite obvious I'm still going to need a more professional image sort of done in the future. I'm going to try to keep this video a lot shorter than the last one, because that one was about 21 minutes, and the original draft of this was about 26. So I'm going to try and keep it at least 15 minutes, which is still a long time, but not as long. I'm probably not going to keep a consistent schedule on this stuff. It's basically just sort of reaction videos to whatever latest Sonic news has come up. But before we do that, I've got a few things to talk about with my DeviantArt account, where I'm much more more active. 100,000 page views at last, in about 8 years, so that gives you a bit of an idea of really how popular I am on the site. But for me personally, it's still a pretty decent milestone, and I am incredibly thankful to all the people who, well, basically decided it was worth looking at my page, I suppose, even if it was an accident, or if they just wanted to see who I was and what I did. It means a lot to me, you know. I'm not the most popular guy on DeviantArt, not even close. I mean, it took me 8 years to get to 100,000 views, which I'm fairly certain that someone like Silent Night probably gets in about 2 days. In fact, basically sort of being this bit, well, not big, but surviving this long on DeviantArt, I guess is a bit of a badge of dishonour for a number of people, because DeviantArt is kind of seen as the watering hole for the freaks and weirdos. But I still think that I've done a couple of good things. You know, I'm still not that great an artist or a writer, but I've definitely improved from what I did in the past, and I'm just happy that I'm making things that people like and make people smile. So that's just basically what I want to do with it. I'm still very thankful for all the people who looked at my work, all the people who put a comment or put it in their favourites, all the friends I've made along the way, like Doodles and Sonar and Frankie and Miranda and all those people. It means a lot to me, you know, because I try to be humble, and again, it just means so much to me that people actually want to look at my work and they have good things to say about it. In the original version, I did have this joke where I had this can of sort of bubblegum sugar-free soft drink. I was gonna crack it open, take a swig, and say it tastes like arse, but it's empty now, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to move straight on to the stuff I want to talk about today. First, the IDW comics, because a bit more's popped up in the time since I first made the video. The last video. First of all, a brand new character, Tangle, the ring-tailed lemur. Personally, I think it's there's not too much about it at the time, so I can't make an actual judgment, but I can sort of say what I think of what we've seen so far. And first of all, the design. The design, I think, is actually pretty good. I think it's quite memorable. I think it's quite. I do genuinely think that it's quite well designed, actually. I mean, it's not. I mean, one of the problems I had with the Archie comics was that a lot of the designs kind of felt like they'd been designed by someone who'd never seen the Sonic character before. Similar thing, really, with Boom as well. But with Tangle, she fits. You know, I personally think that she has a good design. It's quite nice. It is quite a nice design. It's quite that's thing. I do that's thing. I It's a character that's based entirely around the gimmick, but I do like the gimmick, which is basically that she has a big bushy tail that she can use as sort of a third appendage, I suppose, a third arm, which is good. That's not a bad thing to have. It makes it different, because I think there have been other characters. I mean, obviously, apart from Tails, so very similar, a bit similar to Tails, but apart from that, I don't really think there have been many characters who use their tails as appendages in the Sonic franchise. So that's good. What's not so good? What's not so good is that. Well, I mean, about her reception, a lot of people do seem to like Tangle, even though we don't know much about her at the moment, apart from the fact that she's a lemur, a ringtail lemur specifically, and apparently she is a type of Blood Knight. By that I mean it's the character archetype where she likes to get into fights, or indeed gets into tangles a lot. Hence the name. And a lot of people do seem to like her design. There's tons of really good fan art for Tangle out there. People calling her cute, people calling her sort of badass, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But I must admit, there are a number of people who really. Well, that's the thing. As with any character, you're going to have a ton of people who, on principle, just want to burn the new character at the stake for the crime of not being Sonic. But at the same time, I mean, some people are very angry at Tangle. They see her as an unnecessary character. They see her as a gimmick. They see it as a plaster over a burn wound, and perhaps most of all, they see it as a reason to not put Sally, Acorn, and the Freedom Fighters in the new comic. To be fair, I mean, the way they revealed Tangle, it did kind of come off as that, I must admit, because when they first revealed the design, she was, it was like half of it was blocked off, and all you could see was Sonic standing in the middle of some robots with the derpiest expression I've seen him make since Sonic Adventure 1, and so he was holding what looked like someone's hand, and it looked like sort of cheek fluff just off frame, and a lot of people did think, could this be Sally? Because it did look like Sally, I suppose, and it had the cheek fluff, and the hand like it was kind of in the glove, but to me it looked a bit too fat and doughy to be a hand. And as more and more got revealed, it still kind of looked like Sally, and then when the character was finally revealed, surprise, the cheek fluff was actually hair and the big hand was actually a tail. So I can see why some people would look at how Tangle was revealed and not think of it as anything but a massive joke aimed at them directly, which is that's fine. I mean, I understand that, because it did come off as a bit disrespectful, but I don't think Tangle is really going to replace Sally. At least that wasn't IDW's intention. I mean, it could be Sega's intention, because like I said last time, they don't really care that much about the Freedom Fighters, and I wouldn't exactly hold my breath for them appearing in the IDW comics, at least not until like a good amount of time down the line. So, there's not enough information to judge Tangle as is, so I'm going to wait until the comics come out, which is soon. It's either going to be next month or the month afterwards. But I just want to say from the get-go, I can clearly say that she's not going to be Sally. She's not going to be Sonic's love interest. They're not going to try and make a toy out of her, because no comic character ever has. I'm not saying don't get angry if you don't like the design, but don't immediately assume that this is all an elaborate joke to mock people who liked the Freedom Fighters. Although, again, I'm fairly sure. At least that wasn't the intention. At least it wasn't IDW's intention. I mean, it could be that Sega kind of nudged them towards it, but again, there's not much I can say about that. Speaking of the IDW comics, there is another issue that I've had sort of between the last video and now, where basically the comic. Well, the first 4 issues specifically take place pretty much right after the events of Sonic Forces, the game. Eggman's been defeated, Infinite's, he's probably dead now, and all the character illusions are gone, and frankly, hopefully they'll stay gone this time, and the Avatar has gone off to do his own thing. So the first 4 issues is basically just an introduction of Sonic going around the world, getting rid of the last of Eggman's robots, and meeting some new people along the way. I mean, I suppose it's not a bad set of opening comics. It's a lot better than just sort of telling Sonic's story all over again, and as it turns out, the whole Green Hill thing was a bit of a red herring, but at the same time, the IDW comics, basically they're doing what I was afraid they'd do, and just basically be as close to the games as physically possible. I mean, obviously that could change. I mean, it's very likely that the IDW comics, once this is out of the way, will start going in their own direction again, but this isn't the direction I wanted IDW to take. I didn't want it to be sort of a cross of the games and the Archie comics, as it's so clearly trying to be. I just wanted it to be its own thing, a fresh start with new characters, and it's got the new characters down. It just doesn't feel like that much of a fresh start. It kind of feels like more or less a continuation of the digital comics that they put up on Twitter around the time that Forces was coming out, which, by the way, to be fair to Ian Flynn, because I did sort of I didn't mock. I did criticize his writing in the last episode of this, but frankly, the writing that he did for those comics is far and away better than anything in the game proper. So, what are you gonna do? So yeah, the IDW comics, new character, interesting. Basically, the video games not as interesting. Still not much information, so I'm still kind of I'm gonna wait till they come out and then I'll judge it then, which I think is a fair thing to say. But let's just say I'm not going to get hyped for it, especially after Forces basically killed any chance of that happening ever again. Speaking of which, South by Southwest 2018, the Sonic panel is once again a thing. Last year was used to announce Sonic Forces, and there are talks that the so-called future of Sonic will be announced for the one this year. The 2 main people of interest will be Tyson Hesse, which is good, and Takeshi Iizuka. Not so good, because, well, I'm kind of expecting Iizuka to get pelted with rotten tomatoes. Though, to be honest, I would probably pay to see that. So the future of Sonic, I mean, what could it even possibly be? Well, it could be anything, really. But at the moment, I sort of see 2 main things, I suppose. 2 main scenarios. The first is obviously just doing what they've been doing for a while, which is living on memes and merchandise sales, and sort of continuing to try and make good 3D Sonic games, but not doing very well. Or they could very much just stand up and put a bullet into modern Sonic's head and just announce that they're going to focus near exclusively on classic Sonic for a while. I mean, after the critical mauling that Forces got, let's face it, if I was in their shoes, I'd probably do that, because they basically, I would say, well, they clearly don't like modern anymore, even though we seemingly deliberately went out of our way to sabotage this product as much as possible. Let's just make Sonic Mania 172. The kids are gonna love it. We'll get more lunchboxes out of it. I understand that those are sort of 2 very extreme. Well, that one specifically is a very extreme scenario, but Sega's a very extreme company. If things don't go well for them, they bury their heads in the sand and forget the thing they worked on never happened, which I'm going to guess is pretty much going to happen with Forces as well. It's not going to get the full 06 treatment, but let's just say that don't be surprised when Aaron is forced to mock it on the Twitter a couple of years from now. Also, there's been talks that something may be revealed at the Sonic panel, and no one's really sure what that is. At the moment, there are like 4 to 5 main sort of possibilities. The first is a new TV show. Some people think there might be a new TV show, which I personally think is unlikely, because Sonic Boom hasn't really, like the TV show, hasn't really been hasn't ended, and it hasn't really cancelled yet. I mean, been cancelled. Sorry, the second season ended, yes, but there have been talks that season 3 is basically going to happen. which I suppose makes sense. But Sonic Boom, what a horrible show that is. I would rather that they stop making it and try something a bit different. Maybe make another anime series. Maybe sort of do something. Maybe do something a bit meta with it. I personally kind of want to see the people who made Rick and Morty have a go at a sort of adult Sonic show. Wouldn't that just be the weirdest, most surreal thing ever? Because I kind of wanted to have like the No Zone and all these universes, because I'm very much a multiverse fan, but that's just me. I very much doubt we're going to see a TV show reveal, because I'm guessing that Sonic Boom Season 3 is probably still being scripted at the moment. The second possibility is more word on the comics, which I think is the most likely because Tyson Hesse is there, and he's on the team for that sort of thing. I mean, this obviously it's been a while since any last major announcements, so this will be a good time to get some more word out, like what's going to happen after the four things, like maybe the designs for Rough and Tumble, because I'm not really sure we've seen them yet. The supposed new villains, who are probably going to be Orbos and Cubot XPs, because every Sonic series has to have the two dumb robots in it these days. And I'm guessing that we're probably going to get the final fate of the Freedom Fighters at the event, if that's the case. And just like last time, I wouldn't exactly hold my breath, though this time I would like to add on to that and say that maybe it's for the best that we don't see these characters again. Hear me out, because obviously, well, that's the thing. I mean, they weren't terribly written even in the new Archie comics, but it's fairly safe to say that Sega, like I said last time, Sega didn't really care about them even when they were at the height of their popularity. So it's very unlikely if they come back that they're going to be treated with any respect. I mean, I don't really like the Freedom Fighters. I prefer to make stories with my own characters, but even I don't really want to see characters so beloved completely bastardized and flanderized to be just like the rest of the game cast. Which, to be completely honest at this point, unless your name is Classic Sonic, you have been reduced to nothing more than a cheering squad for modern Sonic. So I don't want to see the Freedom Fighters reduced to that sort of level, and I guarantee that's what they'll be if they end up in a project which they clearly weren't designed for, because Sega just don't care about them enough to write them and to allow others to write them any other way. And again, there's still the possibility they probably will be added in time, but I mean, what can I really say about it? I mean, at the same time, like Shadow and Metal Sonic in Sonic Boom, going back to that again, they were only in there for the fan service, and good lord, did it show. I mean, Metal Sonic was like in 2 episodes tops and didn't do anything, and Shadow turned into a frankly pitiful Vegeta ripoff, and I don't want to see that treatment happen to the Freedom Fighters. I don't think anyone does, so it would be wise to maybe... it would be wise for Sega to stop using the Freedom Fighters, because it's clear they don't want to use them anymore. Just let them fall into the hands of the people who actually care. That is, us, the fans. And the final possible reveal is a new game. I very much doubt that's going to be the case, because obviously it's been so soon after Mania and Forces, unless they've had something planned in the background for a while. And if that's the case, it's either going to be the Adventure Games Remastered or Sonic Mania 2. The latter is probably a bit more... that's the one a bit more likely. But I must admit, I would like to see the Adventure Games Remastered, because they are, at least at the time, they were great games. They were groundbreaking in many ways. It's just that they haven't aged all that well. Because you see videos from like ProGero, which basically go out of their way to mock Adventure 2, and I just think the game doesn't deserve it. I mean, it was great at the time, but now, just not really. It needs it needs updating for the modern day. It needs better graphics, refined gameplay, better music, better story, better voice acting, for one thing. They just need the touch-up they deserve, like what Crash Bandicoot did with the Insane trilogy. And that was really good, partly because you got 3 really good remakes for the price of one. Well, price of less than one, because I think it retailed for about 40 quid in this country, so I think that's what a lot of people want to see, and that's fine. Partly because sort of these from the ground up remakes are becoming a bit more common, probably spurred on by the various Pokemon remakes we have had over the years, and obviously the Crash remakes as well. I mean, there's already been the confirmation that Medieval is going to be remade from the ground up, and apparently there are circulating talks that Spyro is going to get a trilogy remake as well. So these things are definitely becoming more common, and that's good. It's nice to see old games updated with more modern stuff, making them even better than they were back in the day. Although, I think that's kind of the main problem I have with it, because the Sonic team that made those games is in no way the Sonic team that made absolute trash like Forces. The development team is still going, but they've been absolutely gutted, and basically all the people with the actual talent left to other games. Ever wondered why Super Mario Odyssey had a bit of a Sonic feel to it? Well, that's because some of the people who worked on Sonic Unleashed basically jumped ship to Nintendo. It goes some way to explaining why Sonic Forces had like 3 level designers and they were all novices, so that's the thing. So I guess, I mean, that is the thing. Sonic Team needs to be disbanded. Izuka needs to go because the man clearly has absolutely no idea what he's even saying anymore. And frankly, I'd rather he just. I'm gonna swear here. I'd rather he just piss off for good. Frankly, he's not wanted. He's not needed. No one likes him. Not even the people who thought Forces was a good game. And Sonic Team needs to be reassembled, but not under the care of Sega of Japan. I think it should go to either Sega. I think it should be reassembled with under either Sega of America or Sega of Europe. Because if they want to have the character appeal to everyone, it's probably best that the people calling the shots are the people that made the character popular in all countries, rather than the one group of cowardly salesmen who couldn't hack it in their home country. So, I mean, it's a good thing. I like Sonic. I hope it does good. It's just I don't want it to be the joke of the. I don't want it to be the butt of everyone's joke, the punchline of the gaming industry, but it does seem like Sega of Japan and Sonic Team specifically are going out of their way to live up to that stereotype, which I frankly hate, and things need to change. Hopefully soon, before they basically have to be bought out by someone else and reassembled again. Ugh. Anyway, that's basically everything. I did have some stuff about upcoming plans, but I've decided to omit it because, I'm trying to make these videos shorter. So, I don't know when I'll do another one of these. I'm guessing, well, basically when there's something big to talk about next, probably after South by Southwest, actually. So, I'll see you then.